Let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself daydreaming about a life that feels out of reach? Maybe you imagine being more successful, happier, or more confident. Or maybe it's something specific like finally landing that dream job, getting in shape, or starting that business you've been putting off. It's easy to dream, isn't it? But here's the million-dollar question. Why do so many of those dreams stay just that? Dreams? What's holding us back from turning them into reality? Now, picture this. You're standing in front of a mirror. You look yourself in the eye and you say, I am capable. I am strong. I can achieve my goals. You repeat it a few times. At first, it feels a little awkward, maybe even silly. But then something strange happens. A tiny spark of belief starts to flicker inside you, and maybe, just maybe, it grows. Could it really be that simple? Could speaking to yourself, convincing yourself of something, actually change your life? Today, we're going to explore the incredible, often misunderstood idea of self-suggestion. Does it really work? Can your subconscious mind be trained to help you achieve your dreams and goals? Or is it all just a trendy self-help myth? By the end of this video, you might just see yourself and your mind in a whole new light. Let's dive in. Let's start with a story. Imagine someone named Alex. Alex has a big dream, something they've wanted for years. Maybe it's to start a small bakery, travel the world, or write a book. But every time Alex thinks about actually taking the first step, those little whispers creep in. You know the ones. You're not talented enough. What if you fail? People will laugh at you. So Alex decides to wait. I'll try when I'm ready, they tell themselves. But days turn into months and months into years. Sound familiar? Maybe it's not Alex's story, maybe it's yours. But then, one day, Alex hears about the power of self-suggestion. Curious but skeptical, they decide to give it a shot. Every morning, they stand in front of a mirror and say, I am creative. I am confident. I am ready to take the first step. At first, it feels weird, even pointless. But over time, something begins to shift. Alex starts to feel a little braver, a little more motivated. The bakery doesn't open overnight, but one day, Alex realizes they've signed up for a baking course and they're excited about it. So what happened? Was it luck? Or did Alex's mind, their subconscious, have something to do with it? Here's where things get fascinating. Researchers and psychologists have studied this concept for decades, and they've found something pretty wild. Your subconscious mind doesn't actually know the difference between reality and imagination. Let's break that down. When you vividly imagine something, whether it's winning a marathon, acing a job interview, or even failing at something, your brain lights up in the same way as if you were actually experiencing it. Think about that for a second. Your brain doesn't care whether it's real or not. It responds to whatever you feed it. And that's where self-suggestion comes in. Every thought you repeat to yourself is like planting a seed in your mind. Positive thoughts, they're like planting seeds of confidence, motivation, and action. Negative thoughts, well, you can guess what those grow into: doubt, fear, procrastination. So the question is, what seeds are you planting? Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Can telling yourself something over and over really make a difference? Let's take a step back and think about it. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this, doesn't it feel harder to even try? On the flip side, if you say, I can figure this out, doesn't it feel just a little easier to take the first step? That's the power of self-suggestion. It's not magic. It's not a shortcut, but it is a tool to shift your mindset, to push past fear and doubt, and to start believing in what's possible. So here's where we're starting. What if your mind really does hold the key to unlocking your potential? What if the way you talk to yourself, those quiet, daily conversations in your own head, are shaping your reality more than you realize? In the next part, we're going to dive deeper into the science behind this and look at some incredible real-life examples of people who've used self-suggestion to achieve the impossible. But before we move on, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried self-suggestion? Did it work, or were you skeptical? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going. Alright, let's get a little nerdy for a moment. Have you ever wondered what's actually happening in your brain when you think a thought? Every time you have a thought, whether it's I'm amazing or I can't do this, your brain is firing off electrical signals. These signals travel between neurons, which are like tiny messengers in your brain. Over time, the more you repeat a thought, the stronger the connection between those neurons becomes. It's like carving a path in the forest. the more you walk the same trail, the clearer and easier it becomes to follow. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, a fancy word for your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you think and do. Alright, let's get a little nerdy for a moment. Have you ever wondered what's actually happening in your brain when you think a thought? Every time you have a thought, whether it's "I'm amazing" or "I can't do this," your brain is firing off electrical signals. These signals travel between neurons, which are like tiny messengers in your brain. Over time, the more you repeat a thought, the stronger the connection between those neurons becomes. It's like carving a path in the forest. The more you walk the same trail, the clearer and easier it becomes to follow. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, a fancy word for your brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you think and do. Here's why this matters. If you're constantly thinking, "I'm not good enough," you're literally training your brain to believe it. Those negative pathways become stronger and stronger until they feel automatic. And here's the exciting part, the same is true for positive thoughts. If you start telling yourself, "I can learn this," or "I'm capable," you begin to rewire those pathways in the opposite direction. You're training your brain to believe in your potential. Cool, right? Let's make this practical. Imagine two people, Anna and Chris. Anna wakes up every morning and immediately starts scrolling through social media. She sees people with perfect lives, perfect jobs, and perfect vacations. And without even realizing it, she starts thinking, "Why isn't my life like that? I'm not successful enough. I'm not smart enough." She doesn't say it out loud, but those thoughts are running on repeat in the background all day. Meanwhile, Chris has a different approach. Every morning, Chris spends 5 minutes writing down affirmations like, "I'm making progress every day, I'm grateful for what I have, and I'm capable of achieving my goals." It's a small habit, but over time, Chris starts to feel more optimistic and motivated. Why? Because those affirmations are reshaping the way Chris's brain processes challenges and opportunities. The difference between Anna and Chris isn't luck or talent. It's the power of focus. Anna's thoughts are focused on what she can't do, while Chris is focused on what's possible. And that focus, it changes everything. Okay, so we've talked about your thoughts, but let's go deeper into the subconscious. This is the part of your mind that's working behind the scenes, 24/7, even when you're not aware of it. Think of it like the operating system on your phone. You don't see it, but it's running in the background, powering everything you do. And just like an operating system, your subconscious can be programmed. So how do you program it? Through repetition. The more you repeat a thought, the more your subconscious accepts it as truth. This is why self-suggestion is so powerful. By repeating positive affirmations, visualizing your goals, or even just talking to yourself in a kinder way, you're essentially updating the software in your mind. Over time, your subconscious starts to align with your conscious desires, making it easier to take action and stay motivated. Let's take a real-world example. Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Before he was a champion, he was already saying it, "I am the greatest." He said it so often that people thought he was arrogant. But Ali wasn't just talking, he was programming his mind. He believed it, and because he believed it, he trained like the greatest. He fought like the greatest. And eventually, he became the greatest. That's the power of self-suggestion in action. Oprah Winfrey has talked about using visualization and affirmations to overcome challenges and achieve her goals. Serena Williams has said she visualizes every single match before stepping onto the court. And Elon Musk, he's repeatedly said that persistence and belief in his vision have been the keys to his success. These aren't just random stories, they're examples of how powerful the mind can be when it's trained to focus on possibility. But what about ordinary people like you and me? Can we really use self-suggestion to change our lives? The answer is yes, but here's the thing, it takes consistency. Remember, your subconscious isn't going to change overnight. It's like planting a garden. If you plant seeds of positivity and nurture them every day, they'll grow into something beautiful. But if you neglect them, or worse, plant weeds of doubt and negativity, well, you can guess what happens. So here's your challenge. Start paying attention to the thoughts you repeat to yourself every day. Are they helping you grow, or are they holding you back? In the next part, we'll explore how to use specific techniques like affirmations, visualization, and mindfulness to harness the power of self-suggestion and make it work for you. But for now, I want to hear from you. Do you think your subconscious mind is shaping your life? Do you believe you can reprogram it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. By now, you might be wondering, okay, I understand the science of self-suggestion and the power of my subconscious, but how do I actually apply this consistently in my everyday life? That's a great question, and it's one that a lot of people struggle with. Changing the way you think takes time, effort, and the right tools to guide you through the process. Imagine having a step-by-step system that walks you through creating affirmations, mastering visualization, and building habits that help you reprogram your mind faster. A resource designed specifically to help you tap into the full potential of your subconscious and stay consistent. Alright, now that we understand the science behind self-suggestion, let's make it practical. Because let's be real, knowing the theory is great, but if you don't put it into action, nothing changes. So, how do you actually train your subconscious mind? How do you make those positive seeds grow into the life you've been dreaming of? The good news is, it's not complicated. All it takes is consistency and a few simple techniques. Ready? Let's break it down. The first and most common technique is affirmations. If you're not familiar with them, affirmations are short, positive statements that you repeat to yourself daily. Think of them as little reminders to your brain of what you want to believe. But here's the key: they need to be specific, personal, and in the present tense. Let's say your goal is to feel more confident. Instead of saying, I will be confident someday, you say, I am confident right now. Why? Because your subconscious responds to what feels immediate and real, not some far-off, vague promise. But maybe you're thinking, what if I don't believe it yet? Won't it feel fake? That's normal at first. Your brain might resist because it's used to old patterns of thinking. But the more you repeat those affirmations, the more familiar they'll feel. And eventually, they'll become part of your mindset. It's like learning a new language. You have to practice until it starts to flow naturally. Here's a tip: try saying your affirmations out loud. There's something powerful about hearing your own voice declare what you want to believe. Stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and say, I am strong, I am worthy, or whatever affirmation fits your goals. It might feel awkward at first, but trust me, it works. And if you can't say it out loud, write it down. Keep a journal and make it a daily ritual to write your affirmations every morning or before bed. Next up is visualization, another powerful way to communicate with your subconscious. Here's how it works. You close your eyes and imagine, in vivid detail, the life you want to create. Don't just picture it, feel it. What does it look like, sound like, and even smell like? The more senses you engage, the more real it feels to your brain. Remember, your subconscious can't tell the difference between reality and imagination. So when you visualize your goals, your brain starts working to align your actions with that vision. Let's say your goal is to start a business. Picture yourself launching your first product, shaking hands with your first client, or seeing your logo on a storefront. Feel the pride, the excitement, the gratitude. When you do this consistently, you're not just daydreaming, you're training your brain to believe it's possible. And that belief drives your actions in the real world. Another technique to tap into the power of your subconscious is mindfulness. Think of it as creating space in your mind to listen to your own thoughts. Most of the time, we're so busy and distracted that we don't even realize what we're telling ourselves. Mindfulness helps you slow down, notice those thoughts, and decide which ones to keep and which ones to let go of. You don't have to be a meditation expert to practice mindfulness. Start with just 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on your breathing. When a thought pops up, ask yourself, is this thought helping me or is it holding me back? If it's negative, let it go. If it's positive, hold on to it. Over time, this habit trains your brain to focus on thoughts that support your goals, instead of tearing you down. Let's be real, negative thoughts are going to happen. We all have them. But here's the trick: when they show up, don't let them take over. Instead, reframe them. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good at this, try flipping it to, I'm learning and I'm getting better every day. If you're thinking, this is too hard, try, this is a challenge, but I can figure it out. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about choosing a perspective that empowers you instead of holding you back. This takes practice, but it's worth it. Every time you reframe a negative thought, you're breaking the cycle of doubt and reinforcing a cycle of belief. It's like doing mental push-ups. You're building strength in your mindset, one thought at a time. Here's the bottom line: all of these techniques, affirmations, visualization, mindfulness, reframing, only work if you stick with them. It's not about doing them perfectly. It's about doing them consistently. Even 5 or 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Remember, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're reprogramming your subconscious, rewiring your brain, and setting yourself up for success. But like any habit, it takes time. So be patient and trust the process. So now it's your turn. Which of these techniques are you most excited to try? Do you think affirmations, visualization, or mindfulness could make a difference in your life? Let me know in the comments below. And stay tuned because in the next part, we're going to talk about common mistakes people make with self-suggestion and how to avoid them. So, you've started using affirmations. Maybe you're visualizing your goals every day. You're putting in the effort to train your subconscious mind, but something feels off. You're not seeing results. The doubts creep back in, and you wonder, is this even working? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. The truth is, most people make a few key mistakes when trying to use self-suggestion. But don't worry, once you know what they are, you can fix them and get back on track. Let's break it down. Mistake number 1, using affirmations that are too generic. Let's be honest, saying something like, I am successful might sound nice, but if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not going to stick. Your subconscious mind CRAV specificity. It needs affirmations that feel personal and relevant to your life. Think of it like this: if you're setting out on a road trip, you don't just type somewhere into your GPS, right? You put in a specific destination. The same goes for affirmations. When your affirmations are specific, your brain knows exactly what to focus on. It feels real, achievable, and most importantly, believable. So take a moment to rewrite your affirmations. Make them about you, your goals, and your journey. Let's talk about mistake number 2. Going through the motions without feeling the emotions. Here's the thing, self-suggestion isn't just about the words you say. It's about how you feel when you say them. If you're repeating affirmations like a robot with no emotion or conviction, your subconscious isn't going to buy it. Think about it. Would you believe someone who says, I'm so excited, in a monotone voice with no expression? Probably not. Your subconscious is the same way. It responds to energy and emotion. So how do you fix this? The key is to tap into the feeling of your affirmation. Don't just say, I am successful. Imagine what success feels like. Picture yourself achieving your goals. Feel the pride, the joy, the excitement. When you connect your affirmations to real emotions, they become far more powerful. Here's a big one. Mistake number 3 is expecting instant results. I get it, it's easy to feel frustrated when you've been saying affirmations or visualizing your goals for a few days or weeks and nothing seems to change. But here's the truth, self-suggestion isn't a quick fix. It's not magic. It's a process of rewiring your brain, and that takes time. Think of it like planting a garden. You don't plant a seed and expect a full-grown tree the next day, right? You water it, you give it sunlight, and you trust that it's growing even if you can't see it yet. The same goes for self-suggestion. Trust the process. Be patient with yourself. And remember, the small, consistent actions you take every day are what create big changes over time. Let's move on to mistake number 4, trying to practice self-suggestion in a chaotic or negative environment. Your surroundings matter. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, whether it's from social media, toxic people, or even your own cluttered space, it's going to be much harder to focus on positive thoughts. Your mind absorbs what's around you like a sponge. So take a look at your environment. Are you setting yourself up for success? Create a space where you can focus somewhere quiet, inspiring, and free of distractions. And don't forget to protect your mental environment too. Limit your exposure to negativity and surround yourself with content, people, and activities that uplift you. It makes a huge difference. The last big mistake, not being fully present. Look, I get it, life is busy. It's tempting to try to squeeze your affirmations or visualization into your multitasking routine. But here's the problem: if your mind is scattered, the impact of self-suggestion is diluted. It's like trying to have a deep conversation with someone while checking your email. You're not really connecting. To make self-suggestion work, you need to give it your full attention. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, make it a sacred time for yourself. No distractions, no multitasking, just you and your thoughts. This small shift can make a huge difference in how effective the practice feels. So there you have it, the 5 most common mistakes people make with self-suggestion and how to avoid them. Now it's your turn. Which of these mistakes have you fallen into? Be honest, we've all been there. Let me know in the comments, and let's talk about how we can support each other in building better habits. In the next part, we're going to look at inspiring real-life stories of people who've used self-suggestion to achieve incredible things. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Sometimes the best way to believe in something is to see how it's worked for someone else. So today, we're going to explore 3 real-life stories of people just like you and me who used self-suggestion to achieve what seemed impossible. These stories aren't just about success. They're about perseverance, mindset, and the undeniable power of believing in yourself. You've probably heard of Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer who became a global icon. But did you know that long before he became the greatest, Ali was just an underdog with big dreams? He wasn't born with a title belt, he earned it. And he credits a huge part of his success to self-suggestion. When Ali was just starting out, he would stand in front of the mirror and say, "I am the greatest," over and over. He repeated it not because he was already the greatest, but because he wanted to believe it. By saying it out loud, by affirming it daily, he rewired his mind to think and act like a champion. And that belief, it fueled his training, his confidence, and his ability to win fight after fight. He didn't just talk about it, he backed it up with action. Now let's talk about Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential and successful women in the world. But Oprah's journey wasn't easy. She grew up in poverty, faced countless rejections early in her career, and was told she didn't have the look or talent for television. Most people would have given up, but not Oprah. Oprah has openly shared how she used visualization and self-suggestion to overcome obstacles and stay focused on her goals. Every day, she visualized herself hosting her own show, inspiring millions of people. She didn't just see it, she felt it. She imagined the applause, the conversations, the impact. And slowly, that vision started to come to life. Oprah's story shows us that self-suggestion isn't just about boosting your confidence, it's about holding on to your vision, even when the world tries to convince you it's impossible. Because if you can see it in your mind, you can start to create it in your life. And finally, let's talk about Roger Bannister, the man who broke one of the most famous barriers in sports history, the 4-minute mile. For years, people believed it was physically impossible to run a mile in under 4 minutes. Doctors, coaches, even other runners said the human body just couldn't do it. But Roger Bannister thought differently. Bannister used visualization as a key part of his training. Every day, he imagined himself crossing the finish line, the clock reading 3:59. He pictured the cheers of the crowd, the adrenaline rushing through his veins. And in 1954, he made history, running the mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. The crazy part? Once Bannister broke the barrier, dozens of other runners did it too, within a few years. Why? Because he proved it was possible not just physically, but mentally. So, what do these stories have in common? Whether it's Muhammad Ali, Oprah Winfrey, or Roger Bannister, they all use self-suggestion as a tool to change their mindset and ultimately their reality. But here's the important part. They didn't just say it, they acted on it. Self-suggestion isn't magic. It's the starting point. It's the fuel that powers your actions, your habits, and your growth. The question is, what's stopping you from doing the same? What story are you telling yourself every day? Is it a story of doubt and limitation? Or is it a story of possibility and progress? Here's what I want you to take away from these stories. Self-suggestion works, but only if you're willing to commit to it. Start small. Write down one affirmation today. Visualize one goal tonight. And take one small step tomorrow. Because just like Ali, Oprah, and Bannister, you have the power to rewrite your story. Now it's your turn. What's one dream or goal you've been holding back on? You've started using self-suggestion. Maybe you've written some affirmations, tried visualization, or practiced mindfulness. But now you're asking yourself, how do I know if this is actually working? That's a great question and one that trips a lot of people up. The truth is, self-suggestion is a process. And like any process, it takes time. But that doesn't mean you're stuck guessing. Today, we're going to talk about how to track your progress, stay motivated, and make self-suggestion a habit that sticks. One of the biggest mistakes people make is expecting a huge, dramatic change overnight. But the power of self-suggestion lies in the small wins. These are the little shifts in your mindset, habits, and actions that build up over time. So, instead of waiting for a big moment, start looking for the subtle signs that your efforts are paying off. Let's say you've been repeating affirmations like, I am confident or I am focused. A small win might be noticing that you're speaking up more in conversations, or that you're procrastinating less. These changes might feel tiny, but they're proof that your subconscious is starting to align with your goals. Celebrate them, they're the foundation for bigger changes to come. Another powerful way to track your progress is by keeping a journal. This doesn't have to be complicated. Just take a few minutes each day to write down your affirmations, visualize your goals, and reflect on any small wins you've noticed. Over time, you'll start to see patterns. You'll notice that the days you commit to self-suggestion tend to feel more productive, more positive, and more aligned with your goals. Your journal is more than just a record, it's a tool to keep you motivated. On days when you feel stuck or discouraged, you can look back and see how far you've come. Those little notes of progress can be exactly what you need to keep going. Here's another tip: break your big goals into smaller, achievable milestones. Self-suggestion works best when it's tied to action. So instead of just saying, I am successful, set a specific milestone that represents success for you. Maybe it's finishing a project, hitting a fitness goal, or learning a new skill. Then use self-suggestion to keep your mind focused on that milestone. When you reach a milestone, take the time to celebrate it. Reward yourself, reflect on what worked, and use that momentum to set your next goal. Milestones keep you motivated and give your subconscious a clear target to work toward. Let's be real, consistency is the hardest part of any habit. But when it comes to self-suggestion, consistency is everything. The more you repeat your affirmations, visualize your goals, and reframe negative thoughts, the stronger those mental pathways become. So, how do you stay consistent? The answer is simple: make it a routine. Your routine doesn't have to be long or complicated. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning to write affirmations, or a quick visualization session before bed. The key is to make it a non-negotiable part of your day, just like brushing your teeth or checking your phone. The more automatic it becomes, the easier it is to stick with it. Let's face it, staying motivated can be tough, especially when progress feels slow. That's why it's so important to keep fueling your mind with inspiration. Surround yourself with stories, quotes, and people who remind you of what's possible. Watch a motivational video, read about someone who's achieved a goal similar to yours, or listen to a podcast about mindset and growth. When you're inspired, it's easier to stay committed to your practice. It reminds you why you started in the first place and keeps your focus on what you're working toward. Here's the bottom line: progress with self-suggestion isn't always obvious, and it's rarely instant. But if you stay consistent, track your small wins, and keep yourself inspired, you'll start to notice real changes both in your mindset and in your actions. Remember, every time you repeat a positive thought or visualize your success, you're building momentum. And that momentum will take you further than you ever imagined. So, how do you stay motivated when progress feels slow? Do you track your wins, journal your thoughts, or set milestones for yourself? I want to hear your strategies in the comments below. And if you're feeling stuck, let's brainstorm together. We're in this journey as a community. In the final part, we're going to answer some of the most common questions about self-suggestion and clear up any doubts you might have. So, we've talked about the science of self-suggestion, practical techniques to make it work, and inspiring real-life stories of people who've used it to transform their lives. But let's be honest, there are still questions, right? Maybe you're wondering, what if I don't feel any different? Or is this really going to work for me? You're not alone. Today, we're wrapping up by answering some of the most common questions about self-suggestion, so you can leave with clarity, confidence, and a solid plan to move forward. Let's dive in. This is a big one. A lot of people ask, what if I'm saying affirmations, but deep down, I don't believe them? And that's totally normal, especially in the beginning. Here's the thing, your brain is like a muscle. If you've been thinking negative thoughts for years, it's going to feel strange to suddenly say something positive. That doesn't mean it's not working, it just means you're rewiring those old patterns, and that takes time. If a big affirmation feels too far from the truth, try starting smaller. Instead of saying, I am successful, say, I am taking steps towards success, or instead of, I am fearless, say, I am learning to face my fears. The goal is to make your affirmations feel realistic enough that your mind can accept them while still stretching you toward growth. The next question, how long does it take? And the honest answer is, it depends. Everyone's journey is different. For some people, the effects of self-suggestion can show up within days. They feel more motivated, focused, or optimistic. For others, it might take weeks or even months to notice significant changes. But here's the key: don't give up just because it's taking longer than you expected. Think of self-suggestion like planting seeds. Some seeds sprout quickly, while others take a little longer to grow roots. The important thing is to keep watering the meaning. Stay consistent with your affirmations, visualization, and positive self-talk. The results will come. So here's another common question: can I use self-suggestion for anything? And the answer is yes, but with one important note. Self-suggestion works best when it's paired with action. Let's say your goal is to get healthier. You can repeat affirmations like, "I am strong and healthy," but you also need to take practical steps like exercising, eating better, or seeing a doctor. Self-suggestion doesn't replace hard work, it enhances it. Think of it this way: self-suggestion is like giving your mind a map. It shows you where you want to go, but you still have to drive the car to get there. The more aligned your thoughts and actions are, the more powerful the results will be. This is a really important question. What if negative thoughts keep popping up? First of all, let's get one thing straight: negative thoughts are normal. Everyone has them. The goal of self-suggestion isn't to completely eliminate negativity, because let's be honest, that's impossible. The goal is to recognize those thoughts when they show up and choose how you respond to them. Let's say you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good at this." Instead of letting that thought spiral, pause and reframe it: "I'm still learning, and every mistake is helping me get better." Over time, this habit of reframing will weaken those negative thoughts and strengthen your positive ones. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Finally, how do I stay motivated? Motivation can be tricky because it naturally goes up and down. The secret is to focus on discipline instead of motivation. Create a routine that makes self-suggestion part of your day, no matter how you're feeling. And when you hit a low point, remind yourself why you started. Surround yourself with inspiration, whether that's through books, podcasts, or the people in your life who lift you up. At the end of the day, self-suggestion isn't just about achieving goals, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about taking control of your thoughts, rewriting the story you tell yourself, and believing in your own potential. No matter where you are in your journey, remember this: you already have the power to change your life. It starts with one thought, one belief, one action at a time. Now that we've explored the techniques of self-suggestion and answered some of your biggest questions, I want to leave you with this: you already have everything you need to start this journey. Your mind is your most powerful tool, and it's capable of incredible transformation. But if you feel like you could use a little extra helper system to keep you on track and take the guesswork out of reprogramming your subconscious, there's a resource I highly recommend. So, what's your next step? Are you ready to start using self-suggestion to transform your mindset? If you've made it this far, I want to challenge you. Take 5 minutes today to write down one affirmation, visualize one goal, or reframe one negative thought, and share your experience in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going and support each other on this journey. Thanks for watching, and remember, your mind is your greatest tool. Use it wisely.